Welcome back to part 3 of the rise and, well, let's hope, rise of Sir Clive Sinclair and the C5. It might still work out. Although I say that, coming up in this episode, we have the disastrous launch of the C5 and the collapse of the computer industry, leaving Clive in a terrible position. And who's that? It's only little rival Alan Sugar, who's smelt blood in the water and is swooping in to exploit the opportunity. So there's a fear at this stage in the story that it might fail. Sinclair C5. It's got that feeling.
Sneaking suspicion. Simply because on the way here I didn't see many Sinclair C5s on the road.
No, that is true.
Yeah.
And also we did start by discussing how it was the biggest product failure in the history of Britain.
There was also that.
That was that clue.
Yeah.
And also there was everything that's led up to this point in the story. I think it's worth thinking about why products fail.
Yes.
Between VHS and Betamax, there's a thin line.
Yeah.
Shall we revisit our old friend Sir Lord Alan Sugar, the Amstrad emailer of the early 2000s?
Was that a phone?
It was a kind of smartphone.
Yeah.
One of the first.
But it was like a desktop phone, wasn't it? Is that right?
No, sorry, yeah, it's not a smartphone. It's like an all-in-one telephone.
Yes, that's what I thought it was, yeah.
It's an all-in-one telephone that sends emails. So it's kind of a precursor to the smartphone.
Yeah.
Why did it fail? Well, I would say the fact it charged per email.
Amazing.
Because obviously at the time there was, I don't know, maybe you were still charging per text.
You know, when we had our Nokias, that was the case, wasn't it? You had enough data or whatever it was, credit for...
I don't know when I stopped paying per text, probably much later than I remember, probably when I moved to smartphones.
Yeah.
So it just felt like the way things were going, but obviously that isn't the way things were going. Email is, unfortunately, difficult to charge for.
But I suppose that was a point where this was like the next step after the letter, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, you charge for
letters,
you charge for text.
Exactly.
At the time.
So there's a logic there.
Makes total sense.
Exactly. So within the context of the time, it just sort of makes sense.
Fellow Britons, we live in a world of giga drives, kilobytes, and mega confusion. But Amstrad believe that it doesn't have to be like this.
The Emailer Plus is a digital telephone answer machine that sends and receives emails worldwide, sends SMS text messages to mobiles, accesses some internet sites, and allows you to download and play great Sinclair Spectrum games. With no prepayment, you just register and go.
So come on, Britain, your country needs you.
The Amstrad Emailer Plus, available now for under £100.
In the defence, Lord Sugar says they're still out there. There's been 150,000 people still using them, he said at one point. And Amstrad are actually broken even on it. So it isn't a complete failure.
Okay.
Beta Movie, that's not Betamax, was a video camera launched in 1984. This is another reason things can fail. It was $1,596. Quite a specific price. Okay. That isn't the reason.
Yeah.
It was very good product, apart from one problem. So it was the first one where you could just put the videos into the thing. You didn't have to have a separate video player attached to it. You put it in the camera.
Okay, yeah.
The main issue was it didn't have a digital viewfinder.
Right. So you couldn't see what you were filming.
Couldn't see what you were filming.
You just had to point and hope.
Yeah, so if you wanted to check out the shot, you had to have a TV and plug it in. So yes,
that's not going to work.
That's not going to work.
Okay.
It was quite
dragging your TV around on your family holidays down to the beach.
So that you can check
film
the shot.
kids playing,
So that was axed after 3 years by Sony. The mini disc was another Sony.
Well, that's what I was about to ask, actually, because was it a failure financially, or
the mini disc?
I'm not sure whether it's just a failure and that it didn't sustain, or whether it was such a failure that it lost lots of money. I'd be fascinated to know that.
I don't think it's the biggest failure of all time. It didn't take off in the way they thought.
It had real problems.
It was too expensive.
Too expensive, yeah. Also, it would go wrong a lot. It had a thing called talk reading, which was you would put the mini disc in and it would fail to read it, and it would say these brutal words, which were top reading, which basically meant this is dead.
Yeah,
you can't use that anymore. And that happened quite a lot.
Because this was also at the point when the CD being relatively, in its pomp really, 1992.
Yeah.
And the big sell of a CD was, the thing I always heard with it, and I don't know, was that you could put jam on it and then wipe it off and the CD would still work. Because records were like, fucking careful with that record, whereas CD was like...
Yeah.
You just have a pile of them, wouldn't you?
If you get a jam on a record, you can still wipe that off. It would be fine. But scratches were the issue.
I don't know. I think it would be sticky. I think.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Try it at home and write in. Let us know. Can you put jam on a record?
But like, let's say the mini disc, for example, didn't take off, but you can still see the logic behind why they thought this thing would be successful. So it is hard, isn't it? Like when this first thing came out, I was like, this is such a cool idea.
It's very hard to change the world with an invention.
But one day...
£750 was the cost of the first mini disc recorder, which is too much.
I didn't pay that. I was not one of the first adopters.
You might have just had the player. I don't know whether yours...
I was just like a little Walkman thing that I had. Yeah.
But the problem with it was, it looked great because it was like, the problem with CDs was you couldn't record.
Yeah.
Whereas cassettes could. So this was like, we're going to combine them both.
Yeah.
The CD then came out with a CD burner at the same point.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that I remember was the problem with mini discs. And this is kind of not borne out by what has happened since. But I remember at the time, one of the feelings was you had records which were big and they were bulky and you could look at them. And CDs were, with their inlaid booklets and their size and their spines, appealed to the collector and the person that wanted a CD collection, whereas mini discs were so small and so kind of... I don't know whether that doesn't bear out these days because no one wants anything.
I do get that. There's apparently a growth in the popularity of CDs again, weirdly. It's going through a bit of a boom as people like the tangible things. Yeah,
I'd say probably if you looked back, it's probably quite minor compared to actually being bought on these.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be able to sell your CDs at a great profit these days.
Right, okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah, but let's say computer games. There's retro computer games, physical discs, and old NES cartridges. These things are selling for huge amounts again. So I think there is a satisfaction to having a tangible version of an album.
Well, I suppose the question then is, and we'll come to it at the end. Don't answer it now, but what would you do if someone bought you a Sinclair C5?
Okay.
Google Glasses is one that failed, and that was basically smart glasses.
As in clever ones, not just ones that look nice.
It gets you straight into memory.
Very smart glasses.
The reason they failed was concerns over privacy.
Okay, I can see that, yeah.
Because you could basically record video discreetly by where you were looking.
Slightly creepy.
Yeah, and they got banned from like bars and restaurants and stuff, which is fair. There's various reasons that these things fail.
Yes.
I'd say the Sinclair C5... I don't think there's one silver bullet of a reason. It was a bit like a silver bullet itself, but I don't think there's one silver bullet where you go, that was the thing that killed off the C5. I think there was about too many issues.
Yes.
Sir Clive Sinclair has launched his latest consumer toy. It's a revolutionary battery-powered tricycle, and it has engines from washing machines and can be ridden by anyone over 14 without a licence.
So the launch goes badly. The launch day. It's backed, though, by a £3 million advertising campaign, and it's going to be sold in all the shops. So we talked about the computer in W.H. Smith's. This is going to be sold in supermarkets. You can buy it.
Wow.
In Woolworths.
Yeah.
This is going to be sold everywhere.
It's got a real sort of Middle Island Lidl sort of feel to it, hasn't it? The C5. You can imagine someone doing their big shopping going, oh, no, I might pick up one of those. That's it. What is this thing? Oh, okay, well, fair enough.
375 quid? Why not?
Exactly, yeah.
There was some famous C5 owners.
Okay.
Prince William and Prince Harry had C5s.
Really?
Yeah, and they drive them around Kensington Palace before they were old enough to drive, so they could obviously can drive on your own property. So
they're not on the A1 though, are they? That's the difference. They have grounds to drive around.
It didn't make into Prince Harry's spare, did it?
No.
He's moaning about his upbringing. At no point was he talking about driving around his grounds in a C5.
You've had an exciting life if that doesn't make the cut when you're writing about your child.
C5 when I was a kid. How often would that anecdote come out? Rather than, fucking moaning on about not being the king.
What are the other kids? Let's say he's 14. What are the other kids at parties thinking? If you turn, let's make it you. If you turned up at a party as a 14-year-old,
because I'd say Prince Harry was born in 1985.
Yeah,
which was the year the C5 was launched. So by the time he's driving a C5 around Kensington Palace, it's the mid-90s.
Yeah, it's retro.
What a bizarre image. In 1994, Prince Harry and Prince William are the only two people on Earth still using the C5.
Yeah.
Elton John had 2. Paul Daniels bought one. The magician. After he saw one being demonstrated in the car park of BBC Television Centre.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow. Are we thinking Elton John and David Furnish? Sort of that's
together.
Is that what the two are?
They went down the aisle in them.
Did they? Oh, that's. Elton wanted to back out, but he couldn't because he was in a C5 and you can't reverse in a C5.
Because obviously Elton has a strong link to Prince William and Prince Harry. Do you think Princess Diana was ever said, oh, interestingly, Elton, you should be my sons? They're the only other people I know who've got a Sinclair C5.
You should raise my sons around Windsor.
Come to the bloody Kensington Palace in your C5.
Yeah. Paul Daniels in one as well. That's a lovely image.
Yeah. Arthur C. Clarke, the sci-fi author, had 2 shipped out to Colombo in Sri Lanka so that he could use them.
Wow.
Because you want 2, don't you? You don't want to go out on your own.
What's his obsession with? I suppose that is what it is, isn't it? It's also less embarrassing if you're out with one other person in one. At least it's all shared shame at that point. Lumping a friend in with it.
So after the launch, they have a 2-day kind of public open day where people can come and try the C5s at Alexandra Palace. 20,000 people come.
Wow.
And so they're thinking, well, maybe. Do you know what? The people like to show the press that they're wrong.
So this is after the reviews have come out? Okay.
This is when they have the launch, and then at Ali Pali they have the open day where people can come and try the... And he said the day after the event...
I get that, though, because, I mean, even if the press are slamming it, it is creating a sort of fascination, isn't it? Yeah.
So we've gone back... Obviously, we've watched these news stories. How often is there a news story about a new vehicle? Very rarely.
Yeah.
It was probably got the biggest blizzard of publicity of any kind of vehicle launch.
Yeah.
Since... Anyone want to fact
At this point, Josh realises he knows nothing about vehicles.
Yeah, that's actually about me.
The Flintstones car.
Since the Flintstones car, which wasn't dissimilar. After the event, they were overwhelmed with inquiries. And they expected to sell all 2,700 units. However, fewer than 200 were sold at the event. So most people had just come because they wanted to try them out.
And so most of those inquiries, what the hell is are we drawing from that?
Yeah, you seriously think that's safe, do you?
Yeah, because it does suggest that, doesn't it? If there's loads of people getting contact, then most of the questions will be, how is this roadworthy? How is this safe?
How much?
Yeah.
So they have to put off the second production line of them.
Right.
So
they only sold 200 and something?
From that event.
Okay, yeah.
He doesn't admit to the problems being a concern. There's obviously also, on top of this, consumer complaints about running out of battery and getting caught on hills and etc. etc. But it hasn't reached the stores yet. It reaches them in March 1985, which is obviously 2 months later. It reaches them after 2 months, the stores. By that point, though, it's game over.
So they've just let the terrible press play out for 2 months. And then they've introduced it to the store. Okay, fine. When whatever fire...
They've absolutely lost control of the narrative.
Yeah. And now it's available. Okay,
and now it's available. And now you can see one in Woolworths next to the Pick and Mix.
Yeah.
So I suppose the acid test is, would I take this vehicle on a motorway or through a standard city rush hour? I think the answer has to be I wouldn't. And if I wouldn't let my children either. So I think what people are getting for their £399 is essentially a low-speed, short-range, very economical, fun vehicle. I'm sure a lot of people will think it's a bargain at that. As for Clive Sinclair's electric car, I think we're still waiting for it.
Do you want to have a guess what his next idea was to promote it?
In an effort to try and get people to buy it?
Yeah.
A sort of race at Silverstone featuring different celebrities, that sort of thing. But
that's a good idea. Yeah. Get Paul Daniels, Elton John.
Yeah. Get all the
young princes.
Yeah.
No, Sinclair, he hires teams of teenagers to drive around London in C5s to promote the vehicle at the cost of £20 a day.
Wow.
In a way, is that not as bad an idea as it sounds? Because the sell is to get it out on the roads.
Yeah. And also, you're seeing people en masse, loads of teenagers. Maybe there's an idea you get a sort of mods sort of feeling, going around on their mopeds. I could be in a C5 gang.
Maybe
it's quite cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah. Little triker back gang.
But the drivers, the problem is they're getting mocked.
Yeah, I get that. I'm imagining white van drivers winding down their window and calling.
It's quite emasculating.
Words those 14-year-olds have never heard before.
There's a clip I'm going to show you, which is an estate agent whose company car is a C5. And basically, he's interviewed while a guy runs alongside him. Basically, the interview's just taking the piss, saying, this looks like a nightmare.
So while John sits behind his plush desk in his warm office, it's down to Tim to brave the elements. And you don't get much worse than a cold January day in Matlock.
Tim, you must be stark raving bonkers. How did you get roped into this?
It's a company car.
It's a company car?
That's right, yes.
Surely there's better ways of earning a living than this. Look at me.
Especially on days like this.
That's right. What advantages has it got around here? I mean, it's all hills, there's everything, there's loads of traffic.
Free parking, the traffic wardens can't get you, that's one thing.
Yeah, what about these hills though, and the weather now? I mean, it's the worst place in the country for stuff like this.
I know, I must say it's a bit of a disadvantage, as you can see.
Of course, Tim, the one drawback with these things, it doesn't like hills, does it?
That's right, you have to bring
in order to get to your next port of call, I better give you a hand, mate.
Thanks.
Particular highlight is the inside-out umbrella as well. From the
guy running extra's got an inside-out umbrella.
Such a wet, horrible, windy day. The interview is
perfect
umbrella.
British image is a man in a C5 next to a man with an
inside-out umbrella.
Inside-out umbrella.
Yeah. It further shows a complete lack of protection that vehicle offers.
Yeah.
The fact from the elements, from anything you run into, you're constantly exposed.
It is bad.
He also has to help him up the hill as well, which I liked at the end of that. He goes, shall I help you here? He goes, up the hill. He goes, yeah.
It's just undignified. It's also for an estate agent.
If he's turning up outside the house you're about to view.
No one's buying that. At the side, a man who's turning up in a Sinclair C5.
Foxton's written down the side.
So Sinclair blamed the press.
Yeah.
He said, for a lack of foresight and pessimistic reporting.
I'm not sure about that.
It's all gone wrong. Okay. It's all gone wrong. He doesn't even have what they describe as a long tail. By June, so the launch was in January, by June, Hoover's obtained a writ against Sinclair for unpaid debts of £1.5 million.
Oh, no. That sucks.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I said it quite quietly.
Yeah. You should have backed it.
Okay.
Production's terminated in August.
In August? As in it's just stopped making them?
Yeah.
Wow.
With 14,000 C5s have been made by that point. He had predicted 100,000 sales. September, Sinclair Vehicles changes its name to TPD Limited.
Right. That'll do it. That'll sort everything.
In October, TPD's put into receivership.
Okay.
Disastrous.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, C5s are selling with all the accessories.
Yeah.
For $139.99, which
would
is
buy. Actually, at that
65% off the initial price.
At that price, I'm probably in. To take to a park somewhere, or on holiday, that would be fun. If you get a bit of an expanse, an old car.
How are you just taking it?
Roof rack of my actual car, my petrol car. The final indignity for C5 is getting carried around by a petrol car.
Right, it's biggest enemy.
It's interesting you say about the press killing it. Like, there's so many points in his career. I'll put my cards on the table. I actually think, and it might change, that he's a bit of a genius. I generally do think that, and I love his spirit of just invention.
Paul McCartney's written some terrible music. The weird thing is, if you're a musician and you do some great stuff and some terrible stuff, people remember the great stuff.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
If you're an author, people remember your best books. If you're Sir Clive Sinclair,
people forget you invented the calculator.
What's the guy got to do?
So unfair.
It's so unfair.
But my point was going to be that although I think this guy's a genius, and I think a number of his inventions are just like the calculator, huge. This idea of the digital wristwatch, the computer being introduced to the home, unbelievable. I actually think, to be fair to the press, and I won't always back the press, the response to this particular invention seems about right. It feels dangerous. It doesn't feel needed. And both of those things concern me as a consumer.
Yeah. So when the company goes into receivership, they have sold 4,500, but that's not very many, considering that they've been on every newspaper and every news report.
2,000 people went to my secondary school. So it's like
exactly.
double that, basically. It's the entire... Also, £3 million advertising campaign for a product which sells for, what was it, 300 and something? 300, 400 quid?
Yeah.
They're obviously hoping for huge sales to justify that sort of spend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
7 million owed to Sir Clive from the company. He's lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, he's not getting that back. There was plans for bigger. There was the C10, which was a 2-seater, and the C15, which would have been a 3-seater.
That's too wide, isn't it?
No, I don't.
Like one of those prams when someone has troops.
I imagine it would have been a 1 up front and 2 at the back, wouldn't it?
Diana and the kids.
Diana and the kids, exactly.
Only that come out, it'd be lovely. Elton John, David Furnish, and the guy who writes Elton John's lyrics.
Only talking.
There you go. If only.
One person said, and I think the problem was it was suggested as serious transport. Mm-hmm. And if it had been sold, they said, as a luxury product, an upmarket plaything. Mm. And when you now see someone on a kind of electric scooter, it is kind of like I hate this phrase, but a boy's toy. You know, that kind of... I don't know if you're ever going to sell it to Jeremy Clarkson, but there you go.
If you could get it into somewhere like Centre Parks and then rolled out across all the Centre Parks in Europe.
Being the operative word.
Yeah, but that'd be lovely. A little tiny silent vehicle that people can trundle through the woods on safely.
It would be quite a good sell on a place, because
one of those islands without cars, like out in sort of, Cancun, that sort of area, just off there.
If you went to a holiday resort and everyone was going around in C5s, I think you'd love it.
Off Mexico. Yeah, people would love it.
So Mark Levensham purchases the remaining stock and markets them as a sophisticated toy. Says, if you were a little boy, wouldn't you want your parents to get you one for Christmas? And he manages to sell 7,000 of them.
Wow.
At 700 quid each, which is far more than they were. So basically...
That's remarkable.
He's just remarketed them in a completely different way and sold the remaining stock. I mean, it doesn't turn the whole thing round.
It does for him, though.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
There's a great story as well of the drunk driver. So this is just a month after the launch of the C5. This student, who is the poshest man ever to live.
Yeah. You sent me this clip.
He gets arrested for being drunk in charge of a C5, which his girlfriend has won.
Not his girlfriend. Actually, at the top of the clip, they say they're actually not they're just friends, they're just a couple, but then they're forced to kiss in front of the press, which is a bit weird. Yeah. It's obviously the paps are going, go lean in, give him a kiss.
Right.
So she's sort of rather awkward.
So she wins a raffle at a Valentine's Eve ball, and he offers to drive it home for her, but he's drunk in charge of a C5. Yeah. His quote is, a tricycle on the pavement is hardly a cardinal offence, is it? And it's basically dismissed by lawyers because they failed to prove that it's a motor vehicle.
Mr. Botting is the first person in Britain accused of being drunk in charge of an electric trike.
They failed to prove that I was in fact riding a tricycle. They couldn't say that it wasn't a motor vehicle.
Future prosecutions will decide exactly what they think a C5 is, provide evidence to back it up, and charge offenders very carefully.
Today he returned with Kirsty to Cannon Row Police Station to collect the vehicle, which can be driven by anyone over 14 without a licence or insurance.
I thought it wasn't the kind of thing that they would take you to court for. I mean, a tricycle on a pavement is hardly a sort of cardinal offence, is it?
Well, he says at the end, I was definitely over the limit, so he couldn't get me off on that. So he basically had to find the loophole that they described it wrong. And it was quite funny seeing someone just so openly going, I'm completely guilty.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll find some kind of wording issue
you're
that
not
gets me
allowed to
off.
drink and ride a bike, are you, now? Because don't you get...
Is that true?
Yeah. I think you could lose your driving licence if you're found in charge of a push bike, as they call it.
I did not know that.
So at least Clive's got his computer industry to fall back on.
Mm.
But it never rains, but it pours for Sir Clive.
Right. Last thing you want in a C5 as well, isn't it?
Christmas 1983 is the height of computer mania.
Yes.
Christmas 1984, which is just 2 weeks before the launch of the C5, is the moment the computer industry collapses. Mm-hmm. So they haven't managed to make enough computers in 1983 because it was such a boom time. So in 1984, everyone goes all out, but the moment's passed.
Right.
And demand has decreased, and Sinclair has warehouses full of computers.
Oh, this is brutal.
He has £35 million worth of unsold computers on his hands.
Are you kidding?
Right. It's a bad time to be Sir Clive Sinclair at this point.
Yeah.
This is a year after He's Maggie Thatcher's favourite businessman.
Also, computers are things that very quickly become old technology. So you can't have computers sat in a warehouse for some extended amount of time and it'll still feel like a modern thing. It'll be, as soon as you release it 6 months later, it's like, well, that's
exactly
the older version. So.
Well, we say we were ahead of it, the good old Brits, but IBM, by now, American companies, come into the personal computer market and basically...
Because they focused on that rather than splitting off their focus to invent a motorised trike.
Yeah.
That was a crucial mistake. Yeah.
So foreign word processors are flooding the market, undercutting. January into February, this is mad to think this is happening literally at the time the C5 is launching. Basically, all the problems come to light. Acorn shares are suspended because they have sacked their bankers, which is, quote, an act of harry-carry. Okay. Right, so they're a goner. Same day, the Sinclair board announces they're postponing their flotation. The decision results from adverse stock market sentiment towards companies in the computer sector. Headlines get worse and worse. Acorn's under investigation from the stock exchange. Commodore, which is Sinclair's main rival, cuts their top-of-the-range model from 299 to 150, half price.
Wow, that's a big old drop, isn't it?
The Spectrum Plus has been cut from 180 to 130. The company has to say they refute allegations they're losing £1 million a month. Oof. All this while he's dealing with the Sinclair.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
There's a cash crisis by May, and basically they owe money to suppliers. And they've got to raise 10 to 15 million pounds off the back of... This is horrific that this is happening at the same time.
It's just panic-inducing.
Yeah. And then they announced that they're going to get a new chief executive in the hope to kind of woo the city.
Okay.
Clive saying, I keep telling people that I'm not a manager and I don't pretend to be one. Which I'd say at this point.
Yeah.
You've got a feel for him at this point.
Yeah.
Who's the White Knight? Robert Maxwell comes on in.
Okay. One of the good guys.
One of the good guys.
Yeah.
So, brief summary of Robert Maxwell. He owns the Daily Mirror and he is a horrific man who ends up rinsing the pension fund for a load of money and topping himself on his yacht after making himself and lots of people lose lots of money. But at this point, he's just a cartoon baddie.
Yeah.
He mounts a £12 million rescue bid. The Daily Mirror have a picture of them together, but it doesn't happen. So who comes in and buys it?
Well, it's not Sugar, is it?
It's our old friend. It's our old friend, Lord Sugar.
Wow, okay.
So the description of this comes from Lord Sugar's book, which is beautifully named What You See Is What You Get.
Great.
And it is a superb section of book. I haven't read the whole book. Full disclosure, I probably won't.
Okay.
But to give you an idea of how it's written, the bit of the Sinclair chapter starts, I'll now tell you a story which will be hard for so-called business experts to understand. What I was about to embark on, you can't learn from a book, nor can you go into Boots and buy a bottle of entrepreneur juice to teach you how to do it.
I think that would shift entrepreneur juice. Even if it's like...
It's called Huel, mate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Bit of satire, that, isn't it? That is good.
Great. Absolutely.
So basically, Sugar is in the Far East in February 1986.
But you sounded like sort of like a...
An import.
Exactly. From like the 15th century or
yeah. Lord Sir Alan Sugar is in the Far East in February 86 when it's all gone tits up for Clive. Yeah. It's a year on from it all going bad. Mm-hmm. He gets a message from Mark Zahami, who runs Dixon's.
Okay.
It's... Which, if you don't remember or you're not from the UK, is basically a high street electronics retailer.
Yeah.
And he invites him over to have tea with him and another man from Dixon's called Stanley Colmes. They're like, come over for a cup of tea, Dixon's.
Okay.
We're all in the Far East. Come over for a cup of tea.
Come to our homeware section and have a cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. We've got the most up-to-date kettle you'll ever use.
Yeah.
Do you take sugar? I'm sorry.
Sugar? Yeah. I'd rather Alan, but yeah. I don't call it. I call it sugar, isn't it? Called sugar. Nobody's saying, no.
One sugar or two? Well, the wife is here, but... His wife does pop up in this story, and it is incredible. So Sugar knows it's not a social thing. He's like, why are they inviting me for tea in the Far East?
Yes. Yeah.
Not just because we're both in the Far East.
Yeah.
Have tea with Stanley, I said, puzzled. What are you going on about? Stanley doesn't have tea. What's going on, Mark? What do you really want? That's what Sugar said.
Right.
And then he goes, because he's interested. And he says, good afternoon, Stanley. I'm surprised to see you here. What are you trying to do? Contact my suppliers as usual. You're wasting your time, mate. You can't screw me anymore, you know. That's Sugar's greeting. Yeah? He said nobody would talk to Stanley in that way, but I had a cheeky knack of getting away with it, as I came across as half joking. This was a little dig at him for the way he'd screwed me on VCRs. I don't know if that's covered in the book or if this is just an aside.
Yeah. He borrowed his videos once and doesn't never give them back. That's what it was. All of the James Bonds. Never got them back. Livid.
So he says... I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's reported speech from an autobiography, but this is Sugar's dialogue. So, what do you want, Stanley? What have you schlepped me over here for? I'm busy. I've got no time for tea. Calm down, Alan. I just thought it'd be nice for us to touch base. Yeah, okay, Stanley. Forget all the touching base stuff and tell me what you want.
This feels like he's in the shower or in the bath, re-remembering it how he wants it to have gone. And it actually was nothing like this. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. And then Stanley says, oh, you are terrible. You really are terrible, Alan. All right, well, let me tell you this. This Sir Clive Sinclair fellow is going bust. The deal is Dixon's can't afford for Clive Sinclair to go bust because they sell so much Sinclair stuff.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, first of all, Sugar, he's clear about this. I couldn't help feeling some satisfaction that my arch competitor was going down the pan.
Right.
I know it's not a nice thing to say, but I'm being honest. And I think we could all imagine.
Yeah, I understand that.
Secondly, the acquisition of the Sinclair brand would be a massive coup for Amstrad. So basically, PricewaterhouseCoopers, who are the financial people, they can't allow Sinclair to go bankrupt.
Okay.
Because it would be a disaster for Britain, basically.
Yes.
Because he's such a symbol of British achievement. In Sugar's words, Barclays Bank would be seen as the people that shot Bambi's mum.
Okay. Yeah.
So what Sugar does, and he's very clear that he thinks this is how I defied all business logic. He basically he's never met Sir Clive at this point.
Yeah.
Goes to his Hong Kong office and redesigns the Sinclair Spectrum to include the built-in cassette in line with Amstrad. By noon the next day, they've designed it with a full picture of it. And then he telephones one of his kind of people, gets him to go to Dixon's, buys a Sinclair,
right,
breaks it up so that they can cost up all the parts. And then they work out basically how much it costs to tool up a factory to make all this stuff.
Wow.
And then if they want to get onto the market by Christmas 86, they've basically got to go for it now.
Okay.
So he starts the factory, the process of tooling up to sell 100,000 computers even before he's contacted Sir Clive Sinclair.
That's amazing. And is that using the stock which is available to Dixon's and
No, he's just sent someone to go to a branch of Dixon's.
Amazing.
Buy a Sinclair.
To look inside it and see how it works.
Yeah. At this point, he hasn't met him.
Yeah.
And he shows Dixon's this, and they order 100,000 before he's met Sir Clive.
Incredible.
But if anyone who's seen The Apprentice would know that a lot of that show is selling products that don't exist to companies to get orders of 100,000. Following week, Clive comes to the headquarters late in the evening, slipping in through the fire escape because it would be too big a story. Clive thought he was just going to rescue them.
Driving in through the cat flap. Unnoticed. Yeah.
Clive thinks Lord Sugar's going to rescue the company. The truth is Lord Sugar's just going to buy it because he wants the intellectual property rights and brand name Sinclair.
It's amazing how much these people generally just back themselves to do things.
Yeah.
Like heads of industry, or it happens to be, or
and that's when it goes wrong, and suddenly you're on top of Ali Pali with a thing that doesn't move. Yeah. It's not that different from when it goes right.
Absolutely, yeah.
It kind of carries on. By March, Sugar's trying to push this deal through. He says, I was due to fly to Florida with the family. I was contacted by Pricewaterhouse to ask me whether I'd be prepared to attend a meeting on the 24th of March. in brackets, which happened to be my birthday, at Barclays headquarters in the city. I agreed and suggested to Anne and the kids to travel to Florida ahead of me. Family holidays are important to Anne, so she was not a happy bunny, but I promised I would be there on the 24th. This is the most boring detail in an autobiography. One way or another. I worked out that if I left the city at 3:30 p.m, I could catch the 5 p.m. Concorde to New York, and from there, fly down to Fort Lauderdale, which would get me into Boca Raton by about 10 p.m.
Hi, Alan, it's your editor here. You appear to be about 40 words under. It's all right, got it sorted. Don't worry. Give me 10 minutes. There you go, love.
So he goes to the meeting, then he goes on holiday.
Yeah.
The deal's maybe happening or maybe not. One issue with this is he's installed his Panasonic, don't know why we need the brand, fax machine in the dressing room adjacent to his bedroom. And he said if faxes came in at night, all the clanging, clattering and beeping would wake Anne up and she would give me a load of stick. Most people would move the fax machine. Instead, he's trained his staff in Hong Kong and England not to send faxes until 7 a.m. Florida time. Great. But on this occasion, everything's gone haywire, so the fax machine's running through the night and must be absolutely livid.
Maybe there's an element of confidentiality as well. You don't want to, where are you going to move it to? Is he staying, is this his own private?
It's his own private room.
Oh, in that case it's not.
He's got a house in Florida, I'm presuming.
In that case, yeah, put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're quite right.
So basically they agree the deal. He says there's a bizarre ending to the story, which is that they have to deliver the source code, which is the main heart of the chip. Don't know what that means, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
That turns out isn't owned by Sinclair, but in the words of Alan Sugar, they discovered that some bloody hippie had written the software code for them. And they would need his signatures to assign the whole deal to Amstrad.
Amazing.
And where was this hippie? He was fishing by the river in Cambridgeshire. And would he come to London to sign the agreement? Absolutely not. Not on a bank holiday weekend. But if someone would come to this river in Cambridgeshire with a cheque for 20 grand, he would sign.
Way.
I know you must be thinking I'm making it all up, but I swear it is the absolute truth. You shouldn't be putting that in an autobiography. A taxi was sent from the City of London somewhere near Ely to locate this long-haired chap sitting on the banks of the Great Ouse River.
Wow.
So that's how that ends.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how big a deal this was for Alan?
Yeah.
Anne doesn't often take much notice in my business life, but on this occasion, she realised what a massive coup it was. Even she knew that Sinclair was a big-time brand. When I told her the news in the morning, she congratulated me and gave me a kiss and a hug and said, well done. Must have been a big coup if she was interested. So there you go. Wow. They kind of launch it with a press conference.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Sugar says one of the things I recall about the press conference was to avoid the lights reflecting off Clive's bald head, he had to be brushed with some anti-glare powder. Okay. Talk about twisting the knife.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Kind of needless, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's bald.
Yeah.
Just if anyone's at home listening on the radio, I just want you to know that he's bald. You can't see that, but just see no hair. No hair!
And even in 2025, Sugar's got a full head of curly little hair, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Sugar's got good hair for his age.
He has got good hair.
Throughout the course of my meetings and conversations, his assistant told me he really is just a boffin. He admires the fact I'm a businessman and accepts that he is not. Great thing about Lord Sugar is he's absolutely willing to absolutely rub it in someone's face.
Yeah.
However, that isn't the end for Clive. In his later years.
He had that hair thing that Rooney had done.
He developed a hair transplant.
On The Apprentice. So what do you call that, Alan? Yeah.
He's going to revisit the electric car more than one more time.
Oh, good.
And incredibly, he's going to become a renowned shagger.
Really?
See you next time.
Now, the other thing he was perhaps most famous for was the Sinclair C5, which didn't go as well as perhaps it might have done.
That's right.
Did you lose a lot of money in launching that?
Yes, that cost me about £7 million.
£7 million?
Yes.
I mean, most of us here can't imagine even having £7 million, so...
I can't anymore.
Well, you have to, but, I mean, was it... I mean, does that sort of put you off inventing and launching?
Not a bit. Yeah. No, I don't expect everything to work. You've got to try different things.
Yes.
Some things work, some things don't.
Yeah.
The C5, we sold quite a few of them, but not enough to make it go.
Yeah.
That's it for part 3 of the story of Clive Sinclair and the C5. There's one more part left. What will happen to him? If you want to listen to that now and get loads of bonus episodes and get all the series on the day of launch and yada yada yada, join us for our live online episodes. Join the fan club, museumofpopculture.supportingcast.fm. Follow us on social media at Museum of Pop Culture Pod to see there's loads of great clips and images and all that kind of stuff to accompany these episodes. It's only a part of it if you just listen to it at Museum of Pop Culture Pod. We'll see you for the final part of Sir Clive next time.